But we begin with this. At this moment, House Speaker Mike Johnson is with several Republican lawmakers down in Texas.
That's right. They are getting a firsthand look at the ongoing migrant crisis at the U.S. Mexico border. The visit comes a day ahead of the U.S. reopening 4 southern border checkpoints. The crossings include Eagle Pass, Texas, Lukeville, and Nogales, Arizona, and San Ysidro, California. Now, they were initially closed because of record levels of illegal migrant crossings, but the number of those arriving at the border checkpoints has since decreased dramatically.
CBS News correspondent Omar Villafranca joins us now from Eagle Pass, Texas, to talk about what's happening there. Omar, what can we expect from Speaker Johnson's visit today?
Well, good afternoon. We are expecting Johnson, of course, to be talking to some of the frontline employees, the Customs and Border Patrol agents, and folks who are dealing with this on a daily basis here in the Del Rio sector, is what we call it, which includes the city of Eagle Pass, and talking about, how sometimes it's overwhelming. They're having to, really kind of. You see behind me this empty spot here. That was not empty a few days ago. It was filled with migrants. It's a little bit of a lull, but they're going to talk about the numbers. He's also going to see some of the physical things that have been set up. We presume that he'll be talking with state officials here. The state of Texas is doing their own thing here called Operation Lone Star to kind of protect the border, in Governor Greg Abbott's words. And he'll be talking with state officials, too, about what they're doing. That's a whole other conflict that's going on. But then afterwards, he'll talk, and we'll see what he has to say.
Omar, talk to us about the impact reopening these 4 border crossing checkpoints are going to mean for the communities.
Well, you may be able to see some trucks behind me here. This isn't the crossing that we've been talking about, but in these communities, roads like this are important. They're vital for just everyday commerce. To consider it, like a Broadway in New York. There's people constantly going back and forth over, either to go visit family, go to their job over in Mexico, or people over there in Mexico come over here and have a job, and they have their legal paperwork and card to cross over, no problem. But when that closes down, it can really slow down regular commerce and business. I mean, when you live in a border town, going over to Mexico on the other side is not something that it doesn't bother them. It's a daily occurrence for a lot of people. So closing those borders down, those points in the past, it's really a burden. Imagine a main street that you're trying to get across in New York is closed and you have to go all the way around. If there's another street, that can be a big problem.
And you make a good point, Omar, because the crossings closed due to the record number of illegal crossings, and that worked because numbers, as we've mentioned, are now down. But it's a huge pain for these communities to keep them closed. So what next?
Well, I mean, there's a little lull in the surge as we've seen behind us and talking to local officials, but they know it's going to happen again. They know that there are more migrants. There's another caravan that's coming up. Question is, when are they going to come? And where are they going to go? One official here was telling us that they're coming to a point in Mexico where they're going to have to decide where they split off, where they're going to go, how the numbers are going to break up. The analogy that we've kind of heard is it's almost like a punch. It's coming. How hard is it going to be, and where is it going to hit? That's what people here are waiting for in these border communities. Is anything being done? There hasn't been anything really passed meaningful legislation on immigration in decades.
Yeah.
So, we've talked to local people here who have said, listen, we've seen House delegation members from both sides come down and come down here for a photo op. The burden of legislating is now on them to do something. It's one thing to talk politics, but it's a lot harder to actually get policy passed. And people here in these border towns, regardless of party, are saying they're ready for something to be done in Washington, 1,700 miles away.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of these sorts of elected officials there at the border, but no legislation, as you say. Omar, thank you. Well, CBS News senior White House correspondent Nancy Cordes is here to join us now. Nancy, tell us, how is the White House responding to Speaker Johnson visiting the border today?
Well, they've issued a ferocious pre-buttal even before he got down there, arguing that they have done their part to try to surge resources to the border. They've got this supplemental funding package that they say would enable border security to hire more officers, hire more asylum officers, hire more immigration judges. And they say that that legislation is languishing on Capitol Hill because House Republicans won't pass it. More broadly, they say that President Biden came into office with an immigration plan, laid it out on day one, and they haven't been able to get much traction with Republicans. Now, there is this bipartisan group of lawmakers in the Senate that have been working to craft some kind of immigration deal. The White House has engaged. It's not clear, however, that the policy changes that the White House is willing to make are going to go far enough for the House Republicans who are visiting the border today. So we'll get some insight into their thinking about that when they speak later today about what they're seeing down there. But the White House is trying to put this back on Republicans and saying they're the ones who are holding up progress at the border.
So Republicans certainly adding political pressure on the Biden administration. We've mentioned how these closings of the crossings have worked to temporarily bring numbers down as far as illegal crossings. So what is the administration's position now on reopening them?
Well, they say they've spent the past couple of weeks surging resources to those particular border crossings that were essentially overrun in the Southwest, and that should help with, with any backlog that remains. Omar talked about the fact that this pause has given them the opportunity to take some of the individuals who were at those crossings into custody and to relieve some of the pressure on those border crossings. But it has not come without a cost. A couple of those crossings are freight rail crossings. And so what this meant was that freight rail had to be halted in both directions. And, and that has an impact on trade. And that's why you had so many lawmakers pushing for these crossings to be reopened as quickly as possible. And that's what's going to happen tomorrow.
All right. Well, Nancy, this is also a major campaign issue. You're there at the White House. President Biden's expected to make his first big campaign speech for 2024 at Valley Forge National Historical Park in Pennsylvania on Saturday. That day also marks 3 years since the January 6th insurrection at the U.S. Capitol. So how will all of this lay the groundwork for the theme of Biden's campaign?
Well, I think that democracy is going to be a major theme of the Biden campaign. Biden campaign officials over the weekend made it very clear that they believe that President Biden's likely Republican opponent, Donald Trump, is a threat to democracy itself here in the U.S. And you'll hear some of that from President Biden on Saturday at a site that is very important to American democracy, Valley Forge, where George Washington led troops during the Revolutionary War that led to the birthplace of the U.S. as an independent country. And so President Biden is going to make the case, as he has on every anniversary of January 6th, that democracy is something that has to be protected, that is something that that Americans cannot take for granted. And I anticipate that, as he has in previous addresses on this anniversary, he is going to go after Donald Trump directly, talk about the fact that Donald Trump egged insurrectionists on January 6th, that he still claims that he won the election all these years later, and the damage that the White House and the Biden campaign argue that that does to modern-day democracy here in the U.S. And he's making this case because they believe that it resonates with their voters and will help to try to get them energized in a year where there is no Democratic primary. And so, you see sort of a lack of enthusiasm in the polls right now among Democrats, particularly among some key groups like Hispanics and African Americans, that the White House and the Biden campaign are going to need to get back on their side and to get energized if he's going to win in November.
All right, Nancy Cordes, great to see you. Thanks very much.
Good to see you too.